What if I told you that the entire modern world, the maps we use, global trade, even a city like New York, was all shaped by the hunt for two tiny little seeds? This isn't just a history lesson. It's a wild story about chemistry, about greed, and about how a couple of molecules from a few remote islands completely changed everything. All right, let's get into it. It sounds completely made up, right? But it is a cold, hard fact. Back in 1667, a treaty was signed. And in that treaty, the Dutch traded a little colonial outpost called Manhattan for a tiny remote island named Run. And why? Because that little island was covered in trees that produced nutmeg, a seed literally worth more than gold. I mean, how is that even possible? Well, the story starts in a place that was shrouded in mystery for thousands of years, a tiny corner of the globe that held an absolute monopoly on two of nature's most powerful treasures. This was it, the one and only source of clove and nutmeg on the entire planet. Now, this is the part that is just mind-blowing. For centuries, the clove tree, Syzygium aromaticum, only grew on just five, small volcanic islands. And nutmeg, well, that was even more exclusive. It came from the Myristica fragrans tree, and it was found only in the Banda Islands. We're not just talking about rarity here. This was a geographical secret that gave these islands an unbelievable amount of power. Okay, so let's meet our two main characters. On one side, you have Clove. It's actually the dried, unopened flower bud from its tree, and it looks like a little dark nail. Then you have the fruit from the nutmeg tree, which is amazing because it gives us two separate spices. You've got the seed on the inside, that's the nutmeg, and then wrapped around it is this crazy blood-red membrane. That becomes mace. So two incredible treasures from a single fruit. And that secrecy was everything. You had Javanese, Arab, and Indian traders who guarded the location of these spice islands like their lives depended on it. So for the Romans, for medieval Europeans, for the Chinese dynasties, these spices were like magic. They would just appear in the markets as if they came from some mystical land, with no one knowing where they were really from. And this quote just perfectly captures how deep that mystery was. You have an Arab writer all the way back in the year 1000 who could only imagine that cloves were some kind of fruit sold by genies. When you have that level of mystique combined with their actual tangible effects, well, that's what made these spices absolutely irresistible. But the real magic, it wasn't genies, it was chemistry. The incredible value, the brutal wars, the empires that rose and fell, it all comes down to a few powerful molecules hidden inside these tiny seeds. So let's zoom in and look at the science behind the story. What was it about these spices that made them so incredibly valuable? I mean, why were people desperate for them, not just for flavor, but as powerful medicines and preservatives, long before we had refrigerators or modern drugs? Well, the secret, it's in their unique molecular structures. Here they are, the two key players. In cloves, you have a compound called eugenol, which is a powerful anesthetic and antiseptic. And in nutmeg, you've got myricin, a psychoactive compound with narcotic effects. See, these weren't just flavorings. They were potent drugs that could preserve your food, kill agonizing pain, and even alter your mind. Let's start with eugenol. This molecule was, for centuries, the conqueror of pain. It makes up most of the essential oil in cloves, and its ability to numb nerves is just legendary. If you have ever had a really bad toothache, you know you would do anything for relief. For hundreds of years before modern dentistry existed, clove oil was the answer. It was a genuine miracle medicine. And the concentration is just staggering. In some really high-quality cloves, the essential oil can be up to 90% pure eugenol. Just think about that for a second. This wasn't some weak folk remedy. It was a highly potent, naturally occurring drug. It was, honestly, revolutionary. And now for nutmeg's darker, more volatile side, Myristica. In small doses, it's that warm, cozy spice we all know. But take a lot more, and it becomes a powerful, psychoactive substance, even a poison. Your body actually metabolizes it into a compound that's similar to an amphetamine, which can cause hallucinations and has a strong sedative effect. This intoxicating power was both alluring and incredibly dangerous, which just added another layer to nutmeg's insane value. So, here's the thing. When you have molecules this powerful, this rare, and this desired by everyone, you have the perfect recipe for conflict. The race to control the source of eugenol and myristica would soon drench the Spice Islands in blood and kickstart the age of colonization. It really boils down to simple economics. The demand was global, and it was relentless. People would pay anything for a cure for a toothache, for a way to keep meat from rotting through the winter, for a taste of the exotic, or for a rumored mind-altering experience. This demand created a value so immense that entire nations were willing to kill for it. And this is pretty much how it all went down. For centuries, the secret sauce was kept under wraps. Then, the Crusades gave Europe a taste, and demand just exploded. By the 1500s, the race was on. European powers, armed with cannons and a totally ruthless ambition, sailed across the world, not just to trade, but to conquer, and to establish a brutal monopoly over these precious molecules. The spice wars did eventually end, but the echo of that obsessive hunt for molecules, it's still reverberating today. The world we live in was fundamentally, and often invisibly, forged by this whole quest. And what's amazing is how the story has come full circle. The very same compounds, like eugenol and another one called gallic acid, that were so prized in ancient times are now the subject of intense modern scientific research. We're talking about studies into their anti-cancer, anti-inflammatory, and antimicrobial properties. We are still unlocking the secrets of these molecules. So, what's the big takeaway here? Well, the chase for these two spices and their chemical compounds literally built and destroyed empires. It redrew the map of the world, created the global trade routes we still use today, and gave us fundamental ingredients for modern medicine and dentistry. Our world is, in so many ways, a direct result of that long and bloody history. And that leaves you with one last fascinating question to think about. If the hunt for eugenol and myristicin could so radically change the entire course of human history, what are the molecules we're hunting for today? In genetics, in new materials, in AI? What's out there right now that will one day define the world for generations to come?